What is up, guys? Welcome to the Bay State Tennis Show. We are opening up this new show and premiering this new show for you guys. Hopefully, you guys are entertained. Hopefully, you guys like it. So, for those of you that don't know, huge tennis guy. Been a huge tennis fan my whole life. My dad's been a huge tennis fan. He's actually the one that got me into tennis. Me and Ant decided it was time for us to start a tennis show because it seems like we're the only two in our community who watch tennis. Really, I guess I could say Connor because we got him into it, and then Ben. Ben is hello, he's Ben watches a little bit too, but yeah, I guess to kind of dive right into it, we'll start with the Wimbledon Championships. We're not really going to talk about Roland Garros. I feel like that was kind of far away. For those of you who don't know, Carlos Alcaraz won 2025 Roland Garros. Pretty easy win. I mean, he's a clay and grass type of guy, so kind of saw that one as an easy win. But Wimbledon, great tournament. And I will say right off rip, like one match that definitely I had like just the pleasure of watching was it was an early on match. I'm pretty sure it was Flavio Caboy versus Marin Cilic. And he actually surprised me a lot because Caboy, he has this ability to like hit certain shots, like just moving across his body. He's got that young man's kind of game, kind of like Alcaraz, just trying to run you around a little bit. Um,
Yeah,
that I had the pleasure of watching, and that was actually a great match to kind of see the young guys a little bit kind of taking over. Man, it's a little sad to see
yeah,
Stan Wawrinka get his ass beat the other day at ATP Los Cabos. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he got his ass
yeah,
whooped. I grew up watching Stan Wawrinka. Djokovic, he's getting old. Um, to see him kind of go down the way he went down, like due to injury and stuff. I mean, not much you can do. He's pushing 40. If he's not 40 already, I don't think he is, but he's getting up there in age. That is someone
yeah,
who um I actually like I was a big Roger Federer guy, Andy Murray guy growing up. So I wasn't really a big fan of not wasn't really a big fan of, but I would always root for Federer and Murray, and I would always root against Nadal and Djokovic because those were Federer's two biggest rivals. So,
yeah,
but Andy Murray was my absolute favorite. He was always the underdog. He had his time a couple times. Shout out Andy Murray. Andy Murray's a beast. But yeah, I guess Ant to kind of dive right into it since we're that was kind of like my a match that I really enjoyed watching. That was outside what we're doing now, which is quarterfinals and finals recap. So starting at the quarterfinals, we had Flavio Caboy and Novak Djokovic. Novak Djokovic ended up winning, defeating Flavio Caboy, who was ranked 22nd in the world. Caboy won the first set, 7 games,
yeah.
to 6 games with an 8-6 tiebreak. And then Djokovic just won the three straight sets, 6-2, 7-5, 6-4. And then the second
Yes,
match
sir.
of this day, this was July 9th. So mind you, they don't play the quarterfinals. For those of you watching, they do not play the quarterfinals all at once. So it's not like you'll see all the quarterfinals match in a day. They split it up. So then the second match of the first day for quarterfinals was number one Yannick Sinner versus number 10 Ben Shelton. Wasn't too much of a battle, I guess you could say, only because um Sinner won the first set 7-7, 6-2, and then he won the next two sets 6-4, 6-4. So it was pretty breezy for him. Ben Shelton's no slouch. Obviously, as you can see, he's ranked 10th. So he's no slouch. I like Ben Shelton. I'm very high on Ben Shelton. I think he kills himself with the unforced errors. But yeah, those were the two for the quarterfinal for the first day. So for the first day, I don't know, Ant, what are your thoughts on the first day and how you felt? And then I'll go.
Um, I I mean, I feel like Shelton probably put up some type of a fight. I mean, it wasn't like anything too distant. Um, Set wise, I mean, 7-6, 6-4, 6-4. Uh, although Shelton wasn't able to win a set, it's kind of tough.
7-2
But
first set tiebreak. So
yeah, well, but I mean, at least he took him to a tiebreak in a way. So, uh, Sheldon, he's a young guy, although Center is also a young guy, but Center, obviously, he's number one in the world for a reason. Uh,
mhm.
he's gonna do his thing. Shelton, he put up an effort, but I mean, we seen it at Roland Garros and we seen it at Wimbledon. Center just wins a lot of these matches in 3 sets, so
Absolutely,
is
no,
it?
100%.
And for the Djokovic match, obvious Kaboli, or if I said his name right, but Kaboli put up a decent fight as we can see, winning the first set, but eventually Djokovic was able to conquer and end up winning that match. Uh, Although I do believe he ended up getting a little dinged up in this match at the end of the match, where it kind of hobbled him in his upcoming match. But either way, Djokovic won this match and gave his fans some type of hope to keep on moving through the tournament.
Absolutely. And in the second day, obviously, like you said, I mean, Sinner wiped Djokovic. There wasn't really much Djokovic could do in the semifinal. I mean, it was 6-3, 6-3, 6-4. Sinner defeated Djokovic pretty handily. You can obviously see Djokovic, though. I will say, we were watching the match, and Djokovic, he put up somewhat of a fight. I mean, he did the best he could, but lower body injury. He took a pretty hard fall in that Kaboya match, like you said, so that kind of hindered him for the next game. Excuse me, the next match. It's kind of tough for him, obviously, to kind of come back. But yeah, I mean, you know, the Ben Shelton match. I mean, yeah, he kind of did put up a fight in the beginning, but I just Sinner. I feel like he gets to these places where he just locks in, and like there's just no turning back. Like it depends on if he gets there, though. That's a lot of the time with him.
Yeah.
Not a lot of the time, but sometimes when you've seen him lose in finals or semifinals, he's like, well, I wouldn't say he's checked out, but he hasn't necessarily locked in all the way. So we saw it in Roland Garros because Alcaraz was able to come back at Roland Garros. That was a crazy comeback we watched in the Discord. For those of you who do not know, we like to stream stuff to all the time in Discord. Do it together. You guys can find our Discord in our Instagram bio at the Bay State Media. So if you guys want to go check us out there, please do check us out there. So the other quarterfinal matches, this was day. Actually, I read day two. That was day two. Day one of the quarterfinals was Cameron Norrie versus Carlos Alcaraz. I feel like there was really not much to say about that. Carlos Alcaraz defeated Cameron Norrie 6-2, 6-3, 6-3. Yeah, he just dominated him. Like if you watch the match, or if any of you out there watch the match, he pretty much dominated him. There was really no there was really no competition there. Cameron Norrie's a great tennis player, though. Not taking anything away from Cameron Norrie, but on my end, I really don't have much to say about that one.
Yeah. I mean, Alcaraz just kind of did his thing. I didn't see the match, but judging by the score, like you said, it seemed like Alcaraz type of dominance match. Uh, I haven't watched tennis as long as Amari has. He got me into tennis, uh, and ever since I've been watching, I really found a strong liking for Carlos Alcaraz, and I just kind of, to me, he's kind of in a way like, in my opinion, probably the best player right now. And I stand on that. So Alcaraz winning this match is not really too much of a surprise, and he just won it in a pretty dominant fashion again. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And shout out to Angelo. Angelo's in here. Tsitsipas he's nice. He's nice. I will say Stefanos is nice. Stefanos Tsitsipas is nice. But yeah. So Taylor Fritz, man, you know how I feel about Taylor Fritz. For those of you out there, guy's a fucking choke artist. Love my American guys, but historically, some of us are choke artists. And Taylor Fritz won the first two sets, 6-3, 6-4. He defeats Kachanov. I forget his first name actually. Completely forget. I'm blanking. But yeah, and then Kachanov won the third set 6-1, and then Fritz rounded out with a 7-6 finish with a 7-4 set tiebreak, which I, Taylor Fritz has an issue. And Taylor Fritz's issue is he starts off so strong where you're like, oh wow, mind you, Taylor Fritz is fifth in the world, Kachanov is 17th. So it's not like the skill gap was too much. Like how the rankings go when it's really outside the top 30, where it's kind of just like, okay, anybody can kind of beat anybody outside like the top 30 or 40. But once you get to like 40, 30 range, it's kind of like the skill gap gets a little bit closer. So Fritz, like, he's fifth in the world. So like going up against somebody like Kachanov is no slouch. Don't get me wrong, he's no slouch. But the problem I have is that, as you can see by the 6-1 set win in the third set by Kachanov and the 7-7, 6-4 set win by Fritz, Fritz almost threw the match. he he lost that third set after being up 6-3, 6-4. He basically didn't try the third set, 6-1. He basically didn't try. And then the fourth set, it's like he won by the skin of his teeth. So the thing with Fritz, I hope to see him be able to finish matches with Vindiction in the future instead of kind of just like being so dominant in the beginning. And I think it's probably a conditioning problem. It seems like an endurance issue. It doesn't seem like it's a skill issue because he's fifth in the world. So I don't think it's a question of skill. I think it's a matter of cardio, finishing your matches, and being able to a variety of shots too. I feel like sometimes he likes to hang ball shots, and he likes to just either hit them like we saw in the final, which we'll get to, but we saw a lot of hitting the ball back at just straight back at the opponent, not getting the opponent to move. Now, obviously tennis is like kind of like baseball, where it's a non-contact sport, so a lot of it is a mind game. You got to think ahead. And I feel like Fritz gets into these moments in these matches where he just stops thinking ahead and he's just reacting to whatever's happening, hoping that like he's up so much, hoping that he's just gonna win. I feel like he needs to just like lock in and do more of that. So I'm not sure if you watched that match, but
Uh, I didn't see this match either, but going kind of off what you said, Fritz, he's an interesting character. And it does seem like he did start off this match pretty high and then just started to kind of fizzle out a little bit. But I'm gonna be honest, going off of that, I'm not sure if I really expected Fritz to make it as far as he did. Um, he made it all the way to the semis. It was, I mean, decent run by Fritz, and he's an American, so I was kind of like, okay, he might be doing decent. He's doing decent. He's doing whatever. He's not doing as terrible as usual.
right,
Or if we can even say terrible, he's picking up the slack a little bit. Yeah, yeah. At least he didn't let this match get too far out of hand. There was,
right.
I guess, in a way, it gave some type of hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And the problem with Fitz, man, like I said, is he can't finish matches. So hopefully, the next tournament we are able to see him finish matches a little bit. He made it all the way to the semifinal, like you just said, and like I had said before, Yannick Sinner beat Djokovic pretty handedly. And Taylor. Now, I will say one thing: he did give Alcaraz a little bit of trouble. That was a little bit surprising considering how he played the first match. I was a little bit, or the match before that, like we just spoke about previously. I was a little bit shocked that he was able to come away with like the second set. So Alcaraz won the first set 6-4. Taylor Fritz won the second set 7-5. Alcaraz came back to handily win 6-3 the third set. And then that fourth set, dude, Alcaraz won 7-6, 8-6. So he was able to get a set tiebreak. And he was almost won that fourth set. Pretty much Alcaraz hung on by the skin of his teeth. And I think that was what made me think a little bit that Alcaraz was going to lose to Sinner, because if Fritz gave him that much of a challenge, I felt like some of the mistakes he made against Taylor Fritz, we saw in the final. And not only did we see it in the final, Alcaraz also in the round of 16, Rublev gave him not too much trouble, but in the beginning of that first set, Rublev challenged him. and Rublev won that first set in the round of 16. So I think that Alcaraz definitely has to go back to the drawing board. Now, mind you, he had the Roland Garros win, so which was like obviously Wimbledon's kind of like right after it. It was like almost right around the corner, and he worked really hard and he won that tournament in a dominating fashion. He had a couple comebacks, but he won it in a pretty dominating fashion. And I think that probably tired him out a little bit. And then turning around to a gigantic tournament to play Wimbledon again and another 350, it's kind of just like, you know, he was probably a little bit tired. I'm not making excuses for him because there's no excuses. I think he still should have won, but I think we saw him get tired a little bit, and in that semifinal, it showed. I think that the cardio issues were kind of there. He gave up some easy points. I think he makes up for a lot of those unforced errors with aces, but obviously going off of that, what did you think about the semifinals between? I mean, obviously we talked about the first one, but the second one between Fritz and Alcaraz.
Uh, yeah. Uh, Alcaraz and Fritz. Alcaraz just didn't really look as dominant as he usually probably would. And Wimbledon compared to Roland Garros. Obviously, we mentioned that he beat Nori kind of handedly, but
Right.
realistically, it kind of feels like that was like one of the few, maybe the only match that he won in such a fashion. And it was just a close, tough tournament for Alcaraz all around. He was able to make it to the finals after beating Taylor Fritz, but Taylor Fritz gave him a fight, and Taylor Fritz didn't really die off. He really, honestly, Taylor Fritz, as we mentioned before, he's usually the guy to fizzle out, but he didn't fizzle out against Carlos Alcaraz, who's supposed to be one of the top in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and Alcaraz just didn't look as dominant. And then touching on the center, the Djokovic match, uh, there was some times where there was kind of somewhat some hope for Djokovic, but at the same time, if you watch the match, Djokovic was hobbled to the point to where he couldn't even like explode to like he couldn't stop to turn back and go back and hit the ball in certain situations. Like if
Yeah.
he went to go save the ball, he wasn't gonna turn back around. And that
Right.
was gonna be a major problem for the match. And Center was able to take advantage of that. And Center was able to beat Djokovic in 3 sets. And it got kind of ugly. It kind of made you feel a little bit of pity because Djokovic was just like you could see like the pain, like he couldn't, like he was almost immobile in a way.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. 1,000%. And I think that obviously we didn't obviously see to get the best of him there, and it sucks that that happened. But you know, Sinner versus Alcaraz. So the transition to the final, and then we'll do a U.S. Open preview, and we'll get out of here and go back to Discord. I'm a little upset with Carlos, man. I'm a little upset because I think he just I don't I think he was just tired, bro. I think Sinner was just more prepared, and Sinner didn't really put himself through a lot of stuff throughout some of these rounds. And I think that some of the opponents, obviously, Sinner went up against, like, I mean, he had to go up against Djokovic. He had to go up against Kabori. I mean, Shelton, excuse me. He had to go up against Gregor Dimitrov. He had to go up against, excuse me. Oh, it does not. Oh no, Vukic, who's no slouch either. That was in the second round. He hit beat him pretty handily, but his opponents. I mean, Alcaraz played some pretty. I wouldn't say easy opponents, but I wouldn't say that it was to the same level of how uh Sinner had to, because Sinner had to play Dimitrov in the round of 16. and Alcaraz played Rublev, so it was pretty much even because Dimitrov is ranked 19th and Rublev is 14th. So that round it was kind of even. But then in the next round he played Nori, who he beat pretty easily, but still. And then Sinner played Shelton, so Shelton gave him a little bit of trouble, like a tiny bit, obviously in the first set, but he won in 3 straight sets. So he saved himself some time, and he had to play played a hobble Djokovic. So I'm not really going to take too much stock into that. But then Alcaraz played Fritz, a guy who's known for beating himself up, and he wasn't able to dominate that match. So I think with that being said, like the final, um, we both obviously watched it together and watched it with Connor, and I just think that he was tired. Um, Basically to kind of just give you the 2-1 here of the final in the U.S. Open preview, like Alcaraz dominates on grass and clay. He's not a hard court player. Yannick Sinner is a hard court player. He dominates the U.S. Open in hard court. So I think with this win, Sinner being able to show after the Roland Garros loss that he's versatile on grass. I mean, he had a great tournament, man. To take nothing away from Sinner, but he's struggled mightily, and that's why I see him winning again in the U.S. Open. I think Alcaraz he's won the U.S. Open, but he's struggled on hard court. Not struggled, but he's come up short on hard court a lot. And a majority of the tournaments he's won, whether it's 350s or 250s, whatever the case may be, a majority of them have been clay and grass. So I think looking at that preview ahead, obviously coming off this loss, I think he'll go back to the drawing board. But there's no sliding on hard court and play here. And I think this is where Sinner gets his bread and butter, and he's able to show his strengths, like advancing to the net and with the short game, and he's able to like pressure you. And basically, there's nothing you do. Like we saw in the match against Roland Garros. Yeah, right. In the match in Roland Garros, he didn't attack the net a lot. He just let Carlos take over, and Carlos was the one to be like, okay, let me use his game against him. I feel like in Wimbledon, bro, he Carlos didn't do too much of that, and we saw when Carlos was on serve, he a lot of double faults. It was odd to see that many double faults from Carlos this past Wimbledon final. I think it was odd. Like I said, I think it's obviously a cardio thing and a focus thing, but it was just odd to see him double fault and not being able to put the serve where he wanted to. Mind you, he still had plenty of aces, which is the craziest part. But I just think Sinner was able to attack him on his serve games, on the Carlos's return games. I think he was just able to attack Carlos, and I think that's where he realized like I got to attack him a little bit. And I think Sinner did a good job with recognition in the final, recognizing where Carlos was tired, where he was failing at, and attacking those areas. He outthought Carlos. And we've seen Carlos outthink him in Roland Garros and Wimbledon multiple occasions and other tournaments, clay and grass. So I think Sinner will take the cake for U.S. Open. That is my prediction. I will probably be definitely putting in an early bet on DraftKings for that. DraftKings hopefully will end up watching this one day, or any of us one day, and sponsor us because I'd be heavily donating to you niggas all the fucking time. Even though the majority I do be winning a lot, but I also lose enough. But yeah, DraftKings, we need a sponsorship, sponsor a nigga. But yeah, bro. That's how I feel about the final and the US Open preview, but how do you feel?
Um, that that Center Alcaraz match was interesting. Alcaraz won the first set, but then Center won the last three of it. Um, it was just an interesting watch. I knew Alcaraz wasn't looking as dominant as he usually would, and I still kind of had hope, however, that he would find a way, especially after that Roland Garros match, where he came back down from 2 sets to none.
Uh huh.
And considering the fact that Alcaraz was the back-to-back defending Wimbledon champion, I was like, okay, I mean, how does he lose here?
Back to back
Like,
is tough.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like, I, how does he lose here? How does this match go? And obviously, it just kind of turned into Alcaraz making critical mistakes and Sinner being able to take advantage of those mistakes. I feel like Sinner was just kind of, in a way, I feel like that Dimitrov match where he was down 2 sets to none
Uh,
at in that match, and Dimitrov was giving him a tough time. I think in a way it kind of made him, and not to assume, but it might have made him realize, okay, I gotta lock in a little further. I got a little lucky that Dimitrov got had to retire because
right.
of uh he pulled something in his arm. I forgot what it was, but I feel like it made him lock in a little bit more. And now going into some of these hardcore tournaments, like some of these thousand tournaments, like the National Bank Open
Mm-hmm.
and the Cincinnati Masters, and then the U.S. Open, obviously, as Amari mentioned, Sinner is a hardcore guy. He won the Australian Open this year, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he won the U.S. Open last year, and he's he's
Yep.
just he's the hardcore master in a way. So, and he's probably gonna thrive here. Going to the U.S. Open, going to the National Bank Open,
Yep.
Cincinnati Masters. Uh, gonna be able to build himself up a little bit, and I still feel like Alcaraz could give him a run for his money,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how Alcaraz plays. Uh, but it's gonna be interesting since this is we went from Alcaraz's bread and butter into Sinner's bread and butter.
Yep.
So we we'll see how it goes. Alcaraz, as you mentioned, Alcaraz has won the U.S. Open before,
Mm-hmm.
but that eh, I- it's just now
I mean,
with
he
Sinner
lost in the
winning.
second round last year. If you don't remember,
Okay,
Alcaraz.
yeah. So
Yeah, he lost to an under. He
and
lost to Van. He lost to Van. What's this guy? It's Van de Zandschulp or some shit. He's like
hmm,
a Norwegian tennis player or something, dude. I don't. I forget. But he
is
lost
this
to him, and I was shocked. He lost in straight sets.
hmm,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's
So
Carlos is not too good of a hardcore guy later on in the later years here.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and especially with Sinner now having the momentum off of winning his first Wimbledon, he's gonna feel motivated. He's gonna feel he's gonna feel um inspired in a
Yep.
way. And I feel like I had to agree with you here. I feel like Sinner has the advantage here at US Open. He's probably gonna end up winning this US Open. He coming up in the next few weeks.
Yeah, played Taylor Fritz in the final last year.
Hmm,
Yeah.
makes sense. There's a
And of
lot of
course, Taylor Fritz is a choke artist.
yeah, it seems like there was a lot of moments as of late where it was like the US Open where it'd be an American in the final, but they lose to someone like Fritz losing to Sinner, or even in the women's Sabalenka beating, I think, Pagula or Keys. It was one of them.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, like obviously us Americans, we're gonna feel inspired. We're like, we're in our home country. We're gonna do something, and then
Right.
we go to the final and we lose.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
It's been a little while since one of our American tennis players probably won the U.S. Open. Obviously, Coco Gauff won Roland Garros, but
Right.
hopefully, hopefully one of us gets the U.S. Open here. May make America proud.
Yep. Hopefully Fritz maybe might be able to get the job done. He's probably the only one right now that probably could. That's an American. Um, yeah, I mean, the U.S. Open's gonna be awesome. If you, for those who don't know, U.S. Open's in August. So
Yeah.
August is typically the month the U.S. Open is always in. For those of you, we will be streaming that in the Discord. We'll be watching all of the matches for U.S. Open. We will also be doing a vlog going to the Red Sox Marlins series for the Bicoastal Baseball podcast with what the hell is happening in sports. So me, Connor, Jordan, RJ, a couple other people. I'm not even sure actually from the group chat who said they were going, other than RJ and um no, Connor and Jordan and RJ. But yeah, we're going to do that vlog to do that. Also, guys, please, 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 if you can, follow us on Instagram, interact with us on Instagram. We will put you in our group chat. If you want to come talk sports, you want to talk about anything, you want to do anything with us, we are literally anything's possible. You guys can do whatever. I actually am allowed to have up to 10 people on these live streams. So hopefully we'll be able to do more live streams with fans and other people, get more community members, and please join our Discord. Link is in the bio. We need more people to join the Discord. It's so much fun and interactive. We have NHL rules, NBA rules. You can follow your favorite teams. We give you guys notifications up to the live final scores, literally right after all the games. And me, Ben, we take care of that. Um, this upcoming football season, I will be locked in every single fucking week. I'm telling you guys, I'm not missing a football game. I am not missing a single red zone. We will be streaming probably Pats games and probably Eagles games and most likely Chiefs and Ravens. They're all at different times, thankfully. And typically, because the Pats and the Ravens typically they play like 4:25 night sometimes, so they're typically on prime time. Ants Eagles are typically on prime time or 4:25, at least on East Coast for my East Coast people. The East Coast people, we get 1 o'clock games. So I realize like some people don't even get 1 o'clock games. It's different in other places. So on the East Coast here, we love the 1 o'clock games. I'm always in there. I'm in that bitch at 12:30. They will tell you from last year, towards the end of the season, because that's when we made the group chat and started doing all this stuff. I was in that bitch ready to go. Like every red zone, doing everything. At the last couple of weeks of the season, doing all that. 8 and I were in there. And then we were doing a bunch of other stuff, and then we had like a little Super Bowl rivalry. That whole thing was awesome. But yeah, tune in, guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you guys stay tuned for the tennis stuff. We love doing this stuff. It's probably gonna be us two a lot of the time. We're looking for more tennis community members, but we're here to bring you guys some tennis content. So, with that being said, Bay State Tennis Show, Mari Scott, Anthony Pinkney, Ant Man, we out.
Yes, sir. Good night.